Today's topic is hypothesis testing. So we'll understand first hypothesis, and then maybe next lecture we'll go for hypothesis testing. So as you are aware, hypothesis, it is the combination of the two words, that is hypo and thesis. Please understand, hypo means it is a tentative, which is not final. Okay, it is a tentative statement. Tentative is the meaning of hypo is tentative, and thesis means the statement. Thesis means what? A statement about solution to a problem. Thesis means what? It is a statement of solution to a problem. Okay, so it is a tentative statement of solution of the problem.
Got it.
So now we understood what is the hypothesis. So hypothesis forms and gives a direction to the research. Okay, so research activities are planned to verify the hypothesis. Okay, to verify the hypothesis. So what is the problem here? Okay, so it is a tentative supposition or provisional guess which seems to explain the situation under the observation. So it is a, we say it is a provisional guess which we expect. It may not be there, which we expect. Like if the person smokes, he have the chances of the disease, lung disease. So this is our case. But after research only we can understand whether it is having the real effect on the person's health or not. Okay, so as per James Gregton, so what is the hypothesis is? It is a tentative supposition or provisional guess which seems to explain the situation under the observation. It is a provisional guess. It is not final, please understand. Only after conducting the research, we will finalize whether the hypothesis was correct or wrong. Okay. So
sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
It is a suggestion, right? When you say hypothesis, it is a suggestive of something.
Yeah, so it is a guess. It is our guess when we want to study. Like what we expect that if the person is smoking, he will have the cancer. Okay, this is our guess. But only after the research we can find out to what percentage it is happening. Okay, whether it is 100%, 90%, 80%. In the hypothesis, we are just checking whether it is having the effect or not. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hypothesis is a guess, and we need to test its validity. It is a proposition, and we need to test its validity. So it guides the researcher, okay, in conducting the research. Okay. Now we'll move further. Now, I think the PPT is not complete here. What is the difference between hypothesis and observation? So, hypothesis and observation are different. Observation is what we have seen. So, it is not observation. This is not hypothesis. Hypothesis means we expect, we guess, but it is not based on our previous experience. Okay, we need to establish that. Like, I will give the
assumption.
example.
Can we say it as assumption?
Yeah, it is not assumption. Assumption is different, and it is a guess. We have to say the guess based on previous experience. but it is
Okay,
not
okay.
previous, but it is not previous, it is our guess only. Okay.
Pure guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
pure guess. Assumption is something what that we consider it is there. Okay.
Right,
Like
right.
we assume, suppose there is a flow over the aeroplane at a high Mach number. So we assume that there is no friction in the air, but it is there. Okay. Assumption means we neglect that. Okay.
Okay.
But in reality, it is there, but it is small amount. Okay.
Okay.
We'll move further.
Yeah.
Now we'll see the features of hypothesis. So hypothesis is conceptual in nature. It is based on some concepts. Okay. It is based on some concept. It is a verbal, we can say in the words, the statement of idea and concept to be tested. So what is that? It is a verbal, in the words, in the word form, it is description of the idea or concept to be tested. So it indicates tentative relationship between the two or more variable. So tentative means it is not based on any experience, it is just our guess. What can be the relation between the two variables, three variables? Okay.
Gut feeling.
Yes.
Gut feeling, you can say, gut feeling.
Yeah, you can say it is in inner voice, but it is based on some experience. Okay.
Right, right. That's correct.
Hypothesis is future oriented. It is not based on previous. Okay. Already
Okay.
the thing we know, that is not hypothesis. Okay.
Mhm.
Like you
Future
take the
oriented.
new case, what is the effect of mobile on
Yeah.
the study? Okay. We don't know. We guess that it is a negative effect. Okay. It is a maybe negative based on our experience. Okay. But it is a future oriented. It's related to the future verification, not the past fact. What it is
Future
doing is the
verification.
future verification. Like I have to really conduct the research and see what is the effect of mobile on the student behavior, on the student study. Okay.
Correct.
So what it helps us is, it helps us to design the research related activities. It guides us like a research problem. Okay. But hypothesis is formed based on the research problem. So as I mentioned, now we'll see the function of hypothesis. So what is the main function that hypothesis is doing is that it limits, it defines scope of the work. Okay. Otherwise, we can go in any direction and it will consume the time and the output will not be there, but it gives some limits. Okay. So it limits, it gives the limits, it puts some boundaries on the study. Put some boundaries on the study. Okay. It puts some boundaries on the study.
Got it.
Now it also guides researcher that he has to go through the realistic approach rather than going in a random way, because research is what? Empirical. It should be related to real life situation, and it offers the simple means to collect the evidences of the verification. Like we decided to test the hypothesis that what is the effect of the use of mobile on the study of the student. Okay. So this hypothesis tells us to how to collect the data and relate the data. Okay. So it makes little bit research process easy. It directs us. Okay. Now we'll see the characteristic of good hypothesis. So good hypothesis is in agreement with the observed facts. Okay. We'll understand here. Good hypothesis is in agreement with the observed facts. Good hypothesis does not conflict with any law of nature which is known to be true. Please understand, we have not to make the hypothesis which would violate the nature's law. Like we know the conservation of mass cannot be created nor destroyed. Conservation of energy. Okay, our hypothesis should not violate that. Okay. If it is violent means what? It will not be true. It is very fact. Okay. Gaze should not be, I will say, gaze should not be wrong.
Correct.
Gaze should be near about correct. Okay. So if you
Correct.
violate the nature's law, then obviously your hypothesis is wrong. And third one is good hypothesis is stated in the simplest possible terms. So we have to state the hypothesis in the simple way so that the reader, one who is referring your research, can also understand. So good hypothesis permit the application of deductive reasoning. So it should give some reasoning based on the hypothesis. So next is the good hypothesis shows very clear verbalization. So whatever words we use in the hypothesis should be clear to the user and it should not create any bias. Okay. A good hypothesis ensures that method of verification under control of investigator. Now the whatever hypothesis we put, it should be in such a way that the investigator can control the process, but not the result. Now we'll see the types of the hypothesis. Hypothesis can be in the form of question. Like I have taken one example from academics. Is there any significant interaction effect of schedule of reinforcement and extroversion on learning outcome?
No.
Okay. So what happens when there is we take the example, okay? Like if any person is doing good work, we appreciate that. If the person is not doing good work, then we scold him, okay? So that is called as a reinforcement. If the person is doing good activity, like suppose any student does any good activity in the class, we have to appreciate, or we can give some reward, like we can give the chocolate. Okay, if he's not doing good work and doing some bad things, then we can scold him. So it is called as a reinforcement. Okay. So the question is here in the hypothesis is in the form of question. Is there any significant interaction effect of the schedule of reinforcement and the extroversion on the learning outcome? Okay. So the schedule of reinforcement and the extroversion means the person who is extrovert, whether it is having some effect on the, we can say, learning outcome. Okay, we know the learning outcome. Okay. This is called as question form of hypothesis. Okay, or in the other way, I can put a question whether eating the apple can affect the health of, I will say, eating the apple after 40s have the effect on visit of the person to the doctor. Okay, that is a question form hypothesis.
Yeah.
Now we'll go to the second hypothesis, which is a declarative. So it is not question. Okay, it provides the anticipated relationship. Okay, so it asks the relationship. Okay, so it is not a question form, but it is a declarative form. There is a, then we give the statement. There is a significant interaction effect of schedule of reinforcement and extroversion on the learning outcome. Okay, so it is not question, it is a statement, it is a declarative. I will give the other example, that the regular consumption of apples after the 40s have effect, will regular consumption of apples after the 40s will reduce the number of visit by the person to the doctor. So it is what? Declarative form. Okay, it is not question. It is what? Declarative form. Now we'll move to the next. I'll clear the drawing. The next type.
Question, declarative, direction.
First was question form of hypothesis. And what was the second?
Declarative.
Declarative. Now we are telling the directional hypothesis. Okay, so it gives the direction of relationship. Okay, so it is giving the direction of relationship here. So it is telling, like here example is given, that extrovert learns better through the intermittent schedule of the reinforcements. So for extrovert, even if you give intermittent reinforcement, still he learns better. But for introvert, what we need? We need a continuous schedule of reinforcement. So we need continuous reinforcements. Reinforcements means what? Either appreciate or scold that particular person, either give the reward or penalty, like this. Okay. So that is called a directional hypothesis. So in case of extrovert, what type of process like intermittent schedule of reinforcements is also enough. Where for introvert, we need what? Continuous schedule of reinforcement. So this is the what is called as hypothesis. Means we have given clear direction. What happens to the introvert? Introvert means you know that the person who is not expressing freely with the other person. And extrovert is what? He freely mixes with the people. Okay. So here we are given the clear direction. So what will happen in case of extrovert person? What is happening to the introvert person? Now then comes the non-directional hypothesis. It is also called as null form of hypothesis. So here there is no relationship between the variables. Null hypothesis means what? No relationship. So we'll just give one example from psychology. There is no significant interaction effect of schedule of reinforcement and extroversion on learning out. Means there is no relation. When we say there is no relation between the variables, that is called as a null hypothesis. That is called as what? Null hypothesis. So we saw now 4 types of hypothesis.
Got it.
Now we'll take a few examples from the hypothesis. Today we'll only see the hypothesis. Next lecture we'll see the how to test the hypothesis. Okay. So we can make hypothesis or we can make the null hypothesis. Depends on what is your guess. Okay. So I will just explain a few examples. What are the health effects of eating an apple a day? Okay, so this is our research question. Now, when we go for hypothesis, we have to clearly create our boundary first. So generally, we want to study the aged people after 40s. What is the effect? So I will say increasing the apple consumption after the 40s will result in decreasing the frequency of doctor's visit. Okay, the person after 40s is regularly eating the apple, it will reduce the visit of person to the doctor. Okay, obviously we go to the doctor when we are ill. Okay, so that is the meaning. So this is the hypothesis. What will be the null hypothesis? Increasing the apple consumption after 40s will have no effect. Okay, no effect. I think there is spelling mistake. No effect on the frequency of doctor's visit. Okay, so this is the hypothesis and null hypothesis. So these are the some practical examples.
Correct.
Now we'll move to the next. Next is about the flexible hours. Can flexible work hours improve the job satisfaction? Okay, this is our research question. Based on that, we will form the guess. Okay, so what we will guess that if you provide flexible working hour, it will give what? Job satisfaction. So employees who have flexible working hours will have greater job satisfaction than employees who work fixed hours. So this will be our hypothesis. And null hypothesis will be what? There is no relationship between the working hours flexibility and job satisfaction. Then one more example we'll take about the social media. What effect does daily use of social media have on the attention span of the school student? This is a research question. From this, we have to form the hypothesis. So we know that it is inversely proportional. Okay, so that is called as negative correlation. So there is a negative correlation between the time spent on social media and the attention span in the school student. So if you want to form null hypothesis, it will be there is no correlation between the social media use and attention span of the student in the school. So this is the reference. So we just started today the hypothesis. So hypothesis is what? It is a guess. Hypothesis is what? Guess. So we start with the
test. Sorry, can we call it the test case?
So it is a tentative. We say it is a tentative guess. Tentative guess. Okay.
Yes.
But guess should not be we can say go in the wrong direction. Okay, like as said that conservation of mass, these are some natural laws. So my guess should not be opposite to that. We know that when Newton sat below the tree, apple tree, the apple fall down. Okay, so it went from top to bottom. Okay, but my hypothesis should not be something opposite to that. Okay, so it is a guess. A guess is based on what? Our previous experience. Okay. We say it is a tentative. Tentative means what? It is not final. We can tell final only after testing the hypothesis. Okay. For testing the hypothesis, we have to conduct some experiments. We have to take some feedback. We have to take some surveys. And then we can say this. Okay. So it is a tentative, we can say, statement about the solution of problem. Please understand here. It is a tentative. Hypo means what? Tentative. And thesis means what? Solution to a statement of what? Solution to a problem. Okay. So this is about the hypothesis. We saw the types of hypothesis. Then we saw some simple examples. So this is the reference I took this time. So next time we will see the hypothesis testing. So we'll stop here. If you have any question, you can ask. If you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Myself, Nandakumar Kakade, I had basically sent you a mail last month, I think 27th September or something, or middle of September,